And welcome to dccodinggames.com. This is the definitive handbook in excelling in Manor Lords, which is a new game that's just come out and it's been developed by a single developer. It's very impressive actually. It's in early access, so it's a city management game and a total war game. So let's see how we do, and I'm actually on hard approval rate just to show you how this can be done and what my strategies are. So let's get to it. The first thing you want to do is look at your map and look at the deposits you have. So we have a berry deposit, which is a very rich deposit, which is very good. And then we have wild animals. Now the wild animals, there's not very much of that. So is it something we want to initially go for? Maybe not. Maybe we want to go for the berries. Then you have a clay deposit over here. Well, that's okay, but it's not rich. But it's good that we have a clay deposit. And we have a very rich iron deposit here too. So that's interesting. So you have to look at this and go, well, what do we do? And the first thing is to press C, and you can see here where your underground water is for your well and what the fertility is like. Now the fertility here is not great, and I knew that because we had a rich deposit of iron. So when you have anything that's rich deposit of something around here, normally the fertility won't be so great. So just bear that in mind, and straight away I would go, this is what we want to develop our city around, is a strong military iron deposited settlement. That's our long-term strategy. Focus on military, focus on weapons, focus all on this. But initially what we want to do is get these berries. But we have some homeless people here, and we have about 5 homeless people. Now tells you up here how many you have homeless, and the reason is they're just living in a tent. The next things you can see is your construction. So you can see how much timber you have, how much stone, tools, and all the rest. And then you have food. What food you have? Well, we have bread, but that's about it at the moment. And then you have your fuel, and then you have your crops, and you have your crafting materials. So you can see all of this stock, so you can keep an eye and track out of what you have at the time, which is great. Then on the left you have your unassigned workers, and then you have your assigned workers to jobs, and then you have your living space, and then you have your total population, then you have your approval. Now approval works if you have less than 50%, so if you have like under 25%, then people are going to start leaving your city. If you have more than 50% approval, then people are going to start joining your settlement. Now when you get above 75% approval, well, then your city really does start to grow, and we'll come to that later on in the tutorial. And then there's public order, and then there's the regional health, and then there's livestock, and then there's this icon where that shows you basically how much food and fuel you have. So at the moment we have 4 months worth of food, but there is no fuel. And your livestock is always important, because basically the oxen are the ones that carry your timber and everything across the area. So if you don't have enough oxen, then it could take a long time to build your stuff. So this is why it's probably a good idea to get a second oxen very early in the game. And then the regional wealth is what income you have got into the region with trade, etc. So treasury deals with your king's men that come with you, which are called retinue. And then they deal with the mercenaries that you can hire, and also the taxes will bring in the treasury as well through a manor house, which I'll get on to. And then you have your influence, and you have king's favor. Really, the ones we want to focus on in the early access game are treasury and influence. But we haven't built anything yet, so let's get to building. So the first thing I would do is lay out some roads. Now, how do we want our settlement to be? Well, initially, I think I'd have a road going around here. And the roads don't actually cost anything, which is great. So you're free to do whatever you want with the roads. And it's important to connect all these places, because otherwise people can't get to them and they can't do what they need to do. And we can change all this later if we wanted to, but we have a basic layout there. Now, I want to also make a decent enough room for a marketplace to happen. And then what I'd want to do is maybe make some other areas for things. For example, you can make this quite organized, like you could have your wood things here, your more trading stuff here, etc. So you can lay things out accordingly like you want. And then up here, what we're going to do is I'm going to make it quite wide, and here I'm going to have some houses. First thing first, what we're going to build is a logging camp. We want to make that high priority. Then we want logistics, so you want a storehouse. And we could put our maybe storage places here, you know. So we have a storehouse there, a granary there. And we will also need a water well. And the water well can be placed maybe one there. So let's just fast forward that. So I'm going to get 2 people in here for now, so that we can build up our logs. And we're going to put 1 person in the storehouse so that they can get all these goods that have been left outside to go into the storehouse. Because when it comes to winter and goods are still left outside, they're going to get, well, spoiled. We can just end that conversation. Now, what I like the look of is that we have a stone deposit right near us. So that's very good, because that's something that we can start trading with. We don't need a hell of a lot of stone, but this will do us nicely. So I'm going to put a stone deposit right there. And then we also want 1 person here. And now we probably have enough logs now to just assign 1 person to here. And we can have 1 person there too. Now what we need is some food. And we just need to have 1 food source for now. So this will do nicely. Because this is a rich deposit and that's not, this is a better solution, the berries. Right, now we have all of the necessary stuff. We can just get rid of these people assigned to the storehouse and the granary to do other things for us. We want 1 person for here, and that's fine. And we have the stone cutter person going. And we also want to go early in the game, we want to get another hitching post. If you want to delete a road, you just press the road, then you press Alt, and it will remove that road. Because what I want to do is have the hitching post maybe here where the other one is. So I'm a bit more organized. And also with the logs, you can limit a work area. So if you press Control and you scroll up with your mouse, you can have an area where you want to start doing the works. Now you're thinking, well, why do I do that? Because I can just let them just do whatever, chop down any trees. Well, no, that's not a good idea, because we have some wild animals here. So if you ended up chopping a lot of these trees down, and I haven't said to it where to chop, then these animals might migrate, and they might migrate to the edge of the map, which would not be very good. So you don't want that. Now, a good idea I would do now is to get some of these baggage plots in. And the reason why I've made it quite down, because we will want to have some yards in here. And I would start off with 3 baggage plots, because that means there is actually 1 family here, but this sign means a plus means an extra family can go there, and it has quite a wide plot for them growing vegetables or things like that, which we're going to do later, and that's a food source. And then there's 1 here which has got a plus and a plus there, so altogether it's 6 people, so we have an extra 1 for when we go over our approval rate and we start getting extra families in. This will help us, but you don't want to overexpand, so you don't want to get 6 or 7 of them, but also you don't want to underexpand. So you have to find a middle ground, and I think 3 for now is fine. Because also remember, the more plots you have, well, they're going to be empty, so there's no point, and you've just used a lot of resources. Now we have our extra hitching post. I'm going to order another ox. This will allow us to be faster in traveling these people over, doing all the works, etc. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a trading post, and I want to build it on the King's Road. And the King's Road basically joins all the regions up. So this is not a King's Road because it's too small, I believe. This is a bigger road, you see, so you know it's a King's Road. And it means that traders come along here, like individual traders. You see there, that's a trader there. He comes along this road, and if you have one on there on the King's Road, he'll go there. Sometimes they do detour, but it's useful to put them on the King's Road. Also, now we have that extra space, so we want to add these in. Now we have this trading post. Now the trading post is a very interesting one, because it shows basically what you have. So we have a lot of stone, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get this early, because I thought, ooh, we could do well with that. But interestingly, actually, you can see that it's actually less than the planks, which is interesting. And actually, we will actually export this, and we'll say that we want a desired surplus of 60, because 60 is a ton, and it means that actually it won't trade when it goes below 60, so it will still leave us 60 stone, which is alright. Now we can establish a route, which we will do, because then it makes it more efficient as well. Also, another thing I want to do is make a saw pit so that we can start trading with that too when we have enough goods, or timber. And a saw pit will make planks. So now our approval rate should be going up a bit more now. And what we also want to do, we don't want to forget this, is get ourselves a marketplace going. That means that your settlers can start putting things on the market. And you can do this straight away really when you start the game, because it really doesn't cost anything to do. And you might want to have one there too. And these will get filled up very quickly as your city develops. And also we will want a vegetable plot here. This will allow us another food. And it means that we have 6 family plots here. So if you press your tab button on your keyboard, you will come to these things and you'll see that you have 2 there, 2 there. That's the max, but we have an extra family that we can support here, but they haven't moved in yet because our approval rate is still 46%, so we won't get one in yet. Now we have a lot of food store supply set up, so we've got food coming in, which is great. Now what we'll need is fuel and clothes. So a tannery can be here. That's for our clothes. And then we got a woodcutter's lodge. That can be here. We have to decide what we want now. So I reckon we don't need another person on this again. And we'll put maybe one in here. So we start making some planks, because what we'll also need is a church. Because you see here that we have food supply, but our church level we don't have one yet, and we don't have clothing, but we're getting all these 3 sorted. And the church actually requires some planks. And there we are, we have our church here. Now we have to decide where we want to put this. I don't know, I quite like it here maybe. So it's quite close to your people, your plots, etc. Now I'll unassign one person to here, because I want to put one person in the tannery there. And for our trading post, we actually need somebody in here to do it, but we don't have a lot of people at the moment to go in there. So we have to decide what we want to do. So I think we got enough stone for now that we can actually leave this and we can sign somebody to here. Straight away we're trading, which is great. We will also do a chicken coop as well. And this gives us more variety of food, and technically we need 3 different foods. Now the logging camp I will dismiss for now, because what I need is some woodcutter's lodge. So I need logs for the winter, which is coming very soon, and that's very important. But we have a problem here, because the tannery We can't actually get clothes unless we have hide, and we need a wild animals. We need to get here, so that's what I'm going to do now. And we don't want to place this on the red bit, because if you place this on the red bit, then it migrates and it's a pain in the bum. You don't want the animals to migrate. So we want to start getting some animals and hide. So we'll have meat as well as food. And you can see on your marketplace what we have. So we have fuel, we have food, which is great, but we don't have clothing. So we have our first family that's moved in, which is great. Now what we want to do is we want to maybe make some more baggage plots. So I will use this one, and we will do the same. We'll have the plus, so we have an extra family and bigger plots of lamb, which is good. We'll do that. By pressing C, you see this changes your what you're seeing. So at the moment I'm seeing timber, planks, stone. If I press C again, you have everything broken down for you, which in my opinion is easier to look at. And we got a bit of income coming in, which is great. We are actually not exporting anything, because I've said to it that our desired place is actually 60 for the stone. So I'm going to put somebody back in there to start doing the stone again. And actually there's no point in putting people in the church unless you want to bury people. If there's dead bodies around or you had a battle, then you would put a person into the church. And there's also no point in putting any person in the stables. There we are, folks. We have our first development point. So let's see what we have. So we could go for foreign supplies. This doesn't really do much. It just wastes a lot of money. I wouldn't advise that. The first thing I would go for is trade logistics. This is good because it establishes a new route, always costs a maximum of 25 regional wealth, which is good because some things can get quite expensive. Like this is 96, 72. But we don't have to do it straight away, because at the moment if I do this one for planks it's 14, which is cheaper. Now if I go here it's 24. If I go here it's vegetables 24. So it could help us, yes. Or we could go for a deep mining, which is the one that I really want to go for, because if we get the second development point, we do the deep mining, means that we can have a extract of indefinite of this mining place. It won't go down, it won't deplenish, it won't do anything. It will have that iron all the time, which is great. So really what I want to do is do this first, and then maybe I might come back to trade logistics. As I said at the start, you look at what you have on the map. This is something I really like about this game. It makes you really think of what you have, what you can do, and your city might develop entirely different from when you play it next. And this is just saying that there will be people coming to my city to attack us, and we have to be prepared, which is fine. So that's our first initial steps of this game, and we are about to go into winter. So in the next part, please join me where we will embrace the winter and we will move forward and we will get our Manor Lord house together, and we will conquer these regions, because there is much more to explore. So see you guys later. Stay tuned.